Charlie Cox, the actor definitely most well known for bringing Daredevil, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, to life. What about him? From the naive young man who crosses into a magical kingdom in search of a fallen star, to the gentle friend offering quiet support in the life of one of the world's greatest physicists. And from the blind lawyer who protects Hell's Kitchen in the shadows to that same, older, battle-tested vigilante still fighting for justice in a city that refuses to change. Let's get into it!
Please help your favorite average movie guy get to 1,000 subscribers by subscribing right now.
A classical beginning. The Merchant of Venice, 2004. After starring in an episode of Judge John Deed and Dot the Eye, and before the superhero suits, Charlie Cox's career began in a very different world, Shakespeare. His film debut brings Shakespeare's complex story of prejudice, justice, and mercy to the screen, set in the tense social climate of Renaissance Venice. At the center of the story is Shylock, a Jewish moneylender seeking revenge against the Christian merchants who have humiliated him. Cox plays Lorenzo, a young Christian who falls in love with Jessica, Shylock's daughter. Together, they secretly elope, an act that deepens the conflict between Shylock and the Christian community. For a first role, it's a challenging environment. Cox was sharing the screen with some of the most respected actors in the industry. But rather than being overshadowed, he blends naturally into the ensemble. What stands out about his performance is the sincerity he brings to Lorenzo. In a story filled with heavy themes of revenge and discrimination, Lorenzo represents youthful optimism. Critics responded positively to the film, and for Cox, the project served as a strong introduction to the industry, proving he could handle complex material right out of the gate. Commercially, the film underperformed, only grossing over $21 million worldwide. Not many actors begin their careers in Shakespeare, even fewer begin alongside legends, and for a first film credit, it was a remarkable start.
My Lord Bassanio, since you have found Antonia, we too will leave you.
Casanova, 2005. After starring in Things to Do Before You're 30, Charlie Cox next explored a very different side of historical storytelling. This film is a playful, romantic retelling of the life of the legendary Italian lover Giacomo Casanova. The film blends historical setting with screwball comedy and romantic intrigue. Cox plays Giovanni Bruni, a young nobleman caught up in the elaborate disguises, deceptions, and romantic entanglements that follow Casanova throughout Venice. Unlike the formal tone of Shakespeare, Casanova embraces a lighter energy. Cox's role may not be the center of the story, but it allows him to show a different side of his acting style, one that leans into charm and humor. The film received mixed reviews from critics, though many praised its lively performances and colorful visual style. At the box office, it performed modestly, grossing over $37 million worldwide, but it added another high-profile production to Cox's growing resume. Cox seemed naturally suited to period pieces, stories set in the past, where characters and dialogue carry the drama, but his next role would take him somewhere completely unexpected.
Yeah, in a few days, thanks to you, I won't be poor anymore.
Stardust, 2007. After starring in an episode of Inspector Lewis, A for Andromeda, and The Maiden's Conspiracy, next, Charlie Cox landed the role that would introduce him to a much wider audience. Cox plays Tristan Thorne in his first leading role, a young man living in a quiet English village that borders a mysterious wall. Beyond that wall lies a magical kingdom, a place of witches, princes, and impossible creatures. When Tristan promises the woman he loves that he'll retrieve a fallen star for her, he crosses into that world, only to discover that star is actually a living woman named Yvonne. From there, the story transforms into a grand adventure involving murderous royal heirs, sky pirates, and a trio of witches seeking immorality. For Cox, Tristan represents the classical fantasy hero, but with a twist. At the start of the film, he's awkward, naive, and motivated by infatuation rather than heroism. His journey isn't just about defeating villains, it's about growing up, and Cox plays his transformation beautifully. Though the film didn't explode at the box office upon release, grossing over $137 million worldwide, it quickly gained a devoted fanbase. Over the years, it's become widely regarded as one of the most charming fantasy films of the 2000s. For Cox, Stardust proved something important. He could lead a large-scale story and hold his own among a star-studded cast.
You're the star. You're the star?
Garnering attention. Boardwalk Empire, 2011 to 2012. After starring in Stone of Destiny, Glorious 39, an episode of Downton Abbey, There Be Dragons, and Moby Dick, Charlie Cox made a major transition into television. The series explores the rise of organized crime during America's Prohibition era. Set in Atlantic City during the 1920s, it follows politicians, gangsters, and businessmen competing for control of the illegal alcohol trade. Cox joined the show in its second season as Owen Sleater, an Irish Republican Army veteran who becomes an enforcer for political boss Nucky Thompson, and has an affair with his wife. Owen is a fascinating character, quiet, intelligent, and fiercely loyal, but also capable of sudden violence. His background as a revolutionary fighter adds depth to the role, suggesting a man who has already lived through war and loss before arriving in America. Critically, Boardwalk Empire was a major success. The show earned numerous awards and nominations, praised for its cinematic production design, writing, and performances. For Cox, the role demonstrated his ability to thrive in darker, morally ambiguous storytelling. He was no longer just a romantic lead of a fantasy adventure, he was now inhabiting layered characters in prestige television.
Someone's going out of business.
The Theory of Everything, 2014. After starring in Hello Carter and Legacy, Charlie Cox appeared in one of the most celebrated biographical films of the decade. The film chronicles the life of legendary physicist Stephen Hawking, exploring both his scientific achievements and his personal relationship with his first wife, Jane Hawking. Cox plays Jonathan Haler-Jones, a musician who becomes a close friend to Jane during Stephen's long battle with ALS. Jonathan's role in the story is delicate and emotionally complex. He represents companionship and support during a time when Jane is overwhelmed by caregiving responsibilities. Rather than portraying Jonathan as a romantic rival, the film represents him as compassionate and patient. The film itself was a critical and commercial success. It garnered many award nominations and wins and grossed over $123 million worldwide. Though Cox's role is smaller compared to the leads, it contributes significantly to the emotional fabric of the story. And soon after, his career would take a turn that would define the next decade.
I have feelings for you.
The Daredevil era. Daredevil and The Defenders, 2015 to 2018. Next, Charlie Cox stepped into a role that would permanently reshape his career. Produced as part of Marvel's collaboration with Netflix, the series introduced audiences to a darker corner of the superhero universe, one grounded in crime drama rather than cosmic spectacle. Cox plays Matt Murdock, the blind lawyer who uses his heightened senses to fight crime as the vigilante Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen. What made Cox's portrayal so powerful was the balance he brought to the character. Matt isn't just a superhero, he's a man constantly wrestling with his faith, his morality, and the violence he commits in the name of justice. Cox trained extensively for the role's demanding fight choreography, which became one of the show's defining features. But the true strength of the performance lies in the quieter moments. Matt's conversations with his friends Foggy Nelson and Karen Page reveal a man struggling to reconcile his two identities. The series received widespread critical acclaim for its grounded storytelling, strong character work, and Vincent D'Onofrio's unforgettable performance as Wilson Fisk. Cox later reprised the role in the crossover miniseries The Defenders alongside heroes from other Marvel Netflix shows. Across 3 seasons, Daredevil became one of the most beloved superhero series ever produced, and Cox's performance became inseparable from the character. Even after the Netflix era ended, fans never stopped hoping to see him return.
I'm asking forgiveness for what I'm about to do.
A return to grounded storytelling. Kin, 2021 to 2023. After starring in Eat Locals, King of Thieves, and Relics and Rarities, Charlie Cox returned to more grounded storytelling with this Irish crime drama. The series follows the Kinsella family, a crime clan in Dublin trying to survive a brutal gang war. Cox plays Michael Kinsella, a man recently released from prison who wants nothing more than to rebuild his life and reconnect with his family. But the world he returns to is far more dangerous than the one he left behind. Michael is a deeply conflicted character, someone trying to distance himself from crime yet constantly pulled back into it by loyalty and circumstance. Cox's performance captures that internal struggle with subtle intensity. Michael isn't a traditional gangster, he's a father, a brother, and a man trying to outrun his past. The series was widely praised in Ireland and internationally for its gripping storytelling and strong ensemble cast. For Cox, Kin was another reminder that his strengths extend far beyond the superhero genre.
I can't be involved in any of that.
Treason, 2022. During Kin's run, Cox stepped into the world of espionage. The series follows Adam Lawrence, a rising intelligence officer whose life is thrown into chaos when he unexpectedly becomes the head of MI6. Just as he begins navigating the enormous pressure of the job, a figure from his past reappears, a Russian spy who shares a complicated history with him. Suddenly, Adam finds himself caught between international politics, personal loyalty, and the threat of betrayal from every direction. Cox anchors the show with a performance that blends tension, vulnerability, and moral uncertainty. Adam isn't a typical spy hero, he's a man desperately trying to maintain control as the world around him begins to collapse. Though the series was relatively short, it was well liked, but seen as a bit too serious. Still, Treason allowed Cox to lead a high-stakes political drama, another genre added to his already diverse career.
I am not a double agent.
The Devil returns. Daredevil Born Again, Season 1, 2025. Before his own show, Charlie Cox first returned as Daredevil as a cameo in the box office juggernaut that was Spider-Man No Way Home. This was followed by appearances in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Being the Shining Light in a Bad Show, Echo being the shining light in a show nobody watched, and your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, his first voice work while portraying an alternate Daredevil in a show that most Spider-Man fans enjoyed. Next, fans got their wish. Charlie returned as Daredevil in his own show for the first time in 7 years. The series marked Daredevil's full transition into Marvel Studios' television landscape. Rather than starting from scratch, the series continues Matt's journey in Hell's Kitchen. When the season begins, Matt is older and more experienced, still working as a defense attorney while secretly protecting the city as Daredevil. Season 1 focuses heavily on that tension. As Matt Murdock, he believes in justice through the legal system, but as Daredevil, he knows that the law doesn't always reach the people who need it most. The show explores whether Matt can continue walking that line without losing himself in the process, and even sees him hang up the suit for a while. The season also sees the return of Wilson Fisk, whose ambitions have grown far beyond the criminal underworld. His influence over the city creates a new kind of conflict for Matt, one that isn't just fought in dark alleyways but also in courtrooms and public life. The season was seen as an ambiguous and at times ungainly crime saga that marks a mature tonal shift for the MCU. For fans, it felt like a long-awaited homecoming, proving that Charlie Cox's portrayal of Daredevil still defined the character.
I'm gonna come back another day, Frank. Maybe catch you at a better time.
Daredevil Born Again Season 2, 2026. After starring in Adults and Murph, Charlie Cox is already back again for Season 2, which is set to continue Matt Murdock's story in Hell's Kitchen. The consequences of Season 1 are expected to ripple throughout the city, leaving Matt to deal with a situation that is far more dangerous and unpredictable than before. It will see him gathering allies to resist Wilson Fisk and his anti-vigilante task force. Fisk's growing power will push Matt into new territory, forcing him to fight not just street-level crime but a system that may be working against him. At the same time, the series will explore deeper aspects of Matt's personal life and the relationships that define him, and might even see him interact with some familiar faces from his past. While the show will still deliver the intense, grounded action that fans expect, the heart of the story remains Matt himself. Season 2 aims to push his character further, testing how much he is willing to sacrifice to protect the city he loves. For Charlie Cox, this season represents another chapter in what has become one of the longest-running and most beloved superhero performances on television. More than a decade after audiences first met Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock, and Daredevil, his journey is still evolving.
It's all that. It's okay. Just stay where you are.
And there you have it, the full career of Charlie Cox so far. From his early career in classical cinema to his era as Daredevil on television. Now let me ask you, are you excited for Daredevil Born Again Season 2? And what is your favorite Charlie Cox performance? Let me know in the comments below and be sure to subscribe for more videos like these.
I have been Dean, the average movie guy on your screen. Big thanks for watching. See you next time. Roll the credits.